Angel and company lost that game badly, so the question becomes, how often is she going to deflect blame after a tough loss onto racist comments?
Skip Bayless just dropped the hammer on Angel Reese, and honestly, it was long overdue. After Reese once again tried to paint herself as the victim in a rivalry she started, Bayless called out the entire act. He made it clear, the WNBA is so focused on protecting their real star, Caitlin Clark, that they're letting players stir up drama and get overly physical without consequences. The numbers don't lie. Clark is filling arenas and driving viewership while Reese's team struggles to sell half the seats. If you stand with Caitlin, drop a CC superstar in the comments. Let's go.
But here's the issue facing Angel Reese. After bad losses, she sometimes publicly plays the victim.
So what exactly did Angel Reese say that led Skip Bayless to publicly call her out? After the Chicago Sky got blown out by the Indiana Fever 93-58 on May 17th, Reese came forward with serious accusations about racist behavior from fans during the game. She described a hostile environment and claimed she's been the target of harassment all season. But once you start digging into the actual evidence, her narrative starts to crumble, much like the Sky's defense did trying to contain Caitlin Clark.
First things first, let's hear what Angel Reese has to say. Let's hear Angel Reese. And if you guys pay attention, listen to her voice and listen to how she's on the edge of breaking down. Very funny.
Hate speech.
Yeah, obviously there's no place in this league for that. I think the WNBA.
Let's also watch the nervous body language, the nervous twitching. Yeah.
Our team and our organization has done a great job supporting me. I've had communication from everyone, from so many people across this league, and being able to support me and going through this whole process. Obviously, it could happen to me, it could happen to anyone, and I think they've done a great job supporting us in this.
How did it affect you Saturday, trying to do your job, trying to play, and having this going on simultaneously?
Yeah, obviously it's tough, but I think I have a great support system. I'm loved by so many people, and obviously in the moment it's hard to hear, but my support system is great.
Voice Reese's original claims focused on alleged racist harassment from Caitlin Clark fans, especially during the blowout loss in Indianapolis. She described hearing hostile comments near the court and suggested it was part of a larger pattern of abuse tied to her rivalry with Clark. But the timing raised eyebrows. The allegations came right after one of the worst losses in Sky franchise history, a game where Clark recorded a triple-double while Reese failed to make a meaningful impact.
The league's response, just coming out right away and getting that investigation going.
Yeah, obviously, like I said, they understand that this is the priority. Obviously, there's no place for this, and they preach. I think 2 days before they put out no hate, no speech. And obviously, the women in this league, they know that, and know there's no space for that. And I believe that every player in this league deserves to be treated with respect and want to come to work and just have fun and have a great environment to work at. So I think they've done a great job putting that out, and we're obviously just going to respond if they need to.
Were you able to?
Damn, I really wish Angel Reese would talk and step up about all of her fans calling people all these nasty names. Oh, how being silent is such a blessing. Such a blessing it is to be silent and have nobody being critical.
Here's where Reese's narrative starts to fall apart. The WNBA launched a full investigation into her claims, and the findings tell a very different story. After reviewing fan reports, team input, arena staff accounts, and extensive video footage, the league released an official statement saying they could not substantiate any of the racist behavior Reese described. That's not a small detail. That's the league essentially saying her claims don't align with the facts.
WNBA unable to verify, quote, hateful fan comments, unquote, toward Angel Reese. Okay. Here's the league statement that was issued. We have investigated the report of racist fan behavior in the vicinity of the court during the May 17, 2025 Chicago Sky at Indiana Fever game. Based on information gathered to date, including from relevant fans, team, and arena staff, as well as audio and video review of the game, we have not substantiated it. The WNBA is committed to fostering a safe and inclusive environment for everyone and will continue to be vigilant in enforcing our fan code of conduct. Boom.
Skip Bayless didn't hold back in dissecting Angel Reese's story, and his breakdown was nothing short of surgical. He began by acknowledging that racist remarks absolutely exist, especially on social media, stating, "I don't doubt she has heard some in arenas and read a number of racist remarks online." But Bayless took issue with the timing and intent behind Reese's specific claims related to the May 17th blowout loss to the Indiana Fever. His key question: why raise these allegations immediately after a 35-point loss? Why make these accusations when the WNBA's own investigation found no evidence to support them? Bayless made it clear he believes the league conducted a serious and thorough review. With over 60% of the league's players being black, he argued, the WNBA is deeply committed to protecting its athletes from racist abuse. But the problem, he noted, lies in a concerning pattern. After tough losses, Reese sometimes shifts the narrative and positions herself as a victim. He pointed out that Reese has previously deflected criticism by highlighting racist comments she's seen online. His advice? Don't let the hate control you. You're not obligated to read them, he said. Don't allow them to imprison you. You shouldn't read them. You shouldn't allow them in your psyche. The message was clear. Social media harassment, while real, shouldn't be used as a shield to excuse poor on-court performance. As for the specific incident in Indianapolis, Bayless addressed the moment Reese got into it with Caitlin Clark and was held back by teammates. Did a white fan actually yell something out of bounds at Angel? I don't know. I have to go by what the WNBA said, and that's no evidence, he stated. That lack of evidence is a major problem for Reese's version of events. Video footage from the game shows nothing unusual from the crowd. Witness accounts from fans and arena staff don't support claims of a hostile or racist environment. And the timeline raises more questions. If the harassment was so blatant, why didn't anyone else notice it during the game? Why did it only surface after a humiliating loss? At this point, it's hard not to view the situation as manufactured drama, a distraction from the Chicago Sky's performance issues. Reese's claims, lacking support from both the league and objective evidence, are beginning to look more like a calculated attempt to shift the spotlight than a call for justice. Instead of accepting that Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever simply outplayed them in every aspect, Angel Reese chose to manufacture a racial controversy that didn't actually happen. The league launched an investigation and found nothing. Why? Because there was nothing to find. Were there racist remarks aimed at Reese on social media that night? Undoubtedly. Unfortunately, that's the dark reality of being in the public eye, and it needs to be condemned. But should those online comments be used as a crutch to explain a 35-point blowout, especially against Caitlin Clark? That's where the narrative starts to fall apart. Look, I'm obviously white. Maybe there are aspects I'll never fully understand. But at some point, you have to say, come on, Angel, not every single time. This pattern doesn't just reflect poorly on Reese, it damages the credibility of the entire WNBA. When players cry wolf about serious issues like racism, it makes it harder for actual victims to be believed. That's a real problem. Now, the league is left dealing with the fallout from one player's attempt to rewrite history and dodge accountability after being thoroughly outplayed by her biggest rival. Meanwhile, the WNBA's leadership seems paralyzed, too afraid to support their biggest asset on the court. Think about how absurd that is. Caitlin Clark, a sophomore who has single-handedly transformed the WNBA, is not being protected. She's drawing historic viewership, selling out arenas, and making every road game a must-see event. And yet the league is hesitant to back her, fearing backlash from veteran players. That's not just poor leadership, it's cowardice. It's sabotaging their own success story. Saturday's Fever vs. Liberty game aired live on CBS, national television. Sure, the Liberty are the defending champs with stars like Breanna Stewart and Sabrina Ionescu. But let's be honest, the B. Massive ratings had one driving force, Caitlin Clark. She is by far the WNBA's biggest draw. Her presence is the reason opposing teams move games to NBA arenas to handle the demand. The numbers prove it. When Clark plays, arenas sell out. When she doesn't, the energy vanishes, and so do the fans. Clark didn't just join the WNBA, she revolutionized it. She brought in a wave of new fans, media attention, and revenue the league hasn't seen before. And yet the league can't seem to protect her. Take the recent game where Indiana got robbed 3 times in the final. 12 seconds, at home, in the loudest arena in the league. Fever coach Stephanie White called the no call on DeWanna Bonner egregious. It was. The foul called on Lexi Hull? Disrespectful. And what about the contact on Clark's final shot? Not a word. Why? Because Clark and her coach have likely learned to stay quiet, to avoid adding fuel to a league already full of resentment toward her. And here's the harsh truth. Skip Bayless nailed it. The WNBA isn't protecting its biggest star because they're afraid of upsetting veteran players. They're afraid of a potential player revolt. But in trying to appease everyone, the league is alienating the very fans and momentum Caitlin Clark brought in. If the WNBA won't stand behind the player who's carrying their future, who's already reshaping the league in real time, then they're not just missing an opportunity, they're actively undermining it. There's a growing perception that referees are sending a message loud and clear when it comes to Caitlin Clark. Let defenders rough her up, and don't call it. That point couldn't have been more obvious during the Indiana Fever's recent game against the New York Liberty, where 3 crucial calls in the final seconds all went against the Fever, the home team, in one of the loudest arenas in the league. Let's walk through it. With just 12 seconds left, Caitlin Clark fired a stunning bounce pass through traffic, a wizard-level assist, to Dijonai Carrington, not Dana Bonner, who appeared to be tackled as she went up for the shot. This wasn't a block. It was a full-body collision. No whistle. Nothing. Then came the foul call on Lexi Hull. She was guarding Sabrina Ionescu, stayed tight, moved her feet, and didn't appear to make significant contact. And yet, foul. With 2.2 seconds left, the refs handed Ionescu a trip to the line. The Fever couldn't even challenge the call because they were out of timeouts. Sabrina, who had just missed 2 free throws, sank the next 2 to put the Liberty up by 2. And then, with just seconds left, Caitlin Clark drove hard left on Natasha Cloud. Contact everywhere, body, wrist, arm, as Clark went up for the potential game winner. Once again, no whistle. Game over. Another no call. These weren't borderline plays. These were obvious fouls, calls that almost any other star in the league would have gotten. But not Clark. Why? Skip Bayless says it's bigger than bad officiating. He calls it a message. The WNBA isn't protecting Caitlin Clark, their biggest star, because they're scared. Scared of how veteran players might react. Scared of claims of special treatment. So instead, they let the refs swallow their whistles and allow Clark to be hacked and hammered without consequences. This isn't normal basketball officiating. It's something else entirely. It's a dangerous precedent where physicality is used as a weapon and the officials turn a blind eye. Bayless nailed the core issue, veteran resentment. Call it what it is, petty jealousy. Caitlin Clark came into the league and instantly became the face of it. Bigger crowds, bigger ratings, sold-out arenas, and instead of seeing that success as an opportunity for everyone, some vets see it as a threat. They resent her popularity. They're bitter that the spotlight isn't on them. But here's the reality. Clark's success is their success. The attention she brings benefits the entire league. The higher ratings, the increased media coverage, the packed arenas. None of that happens without her. Yet instead of embracing that, some players, and now apparently some referees, are letting their egos get in the way of progress. And the WNBA? They're enabling it. They're so afraid of internal backlash that they're failing to protect the player who's doing more to grow the league than anyone in decades. This isn't just poor officiating, it's poor leadership. And if the league doesn't fix it fast, they're going to lose the momentum Caitlin Clark worked so hard to create. That all of the established stars in this WNBA, as well as lots of Veteran starters on every other team constantly, quietly, privately complain to their coaches and to their team executives about Caitlin Clark getting way too much attention and way too much credit for the exploding TV ratings. Even Indiana. Fever coach Stephanie White has spoken up about this officiating problem. She accused referees of disrespecting the team, pointing to significant free throw discrepancies and the lack of favorable calls when your own coach has to call out the refs. Publicly, there's a systematic issue with how the league treats its biggest draw. The attitude I sense from so many other older WNBA players seems to be, what are we, chopped liver? It's not just her driving these ratings. What have we been doing all these years? Sorry ladies, but compared to her drawing power, you are chopped liver. You're just going to have to accept that she and she alone is driving the ratings way above what all of you together were able to generate before. She first set foot on a WNBA stage. Biz perfectly captured this situation when he said the WNBA is biting the hand that feeds it. The league is afraid of an open player revolt, a mutiny against Caitlin Clark, so they tell referees not to protect her. They'd rather appease jealous veterans than support the player who's making everyone else rich. The fear of how other players might react is preventing the league from fully capitalizing on Clark's popularity and the unprecedented revenue she generates. This cowardly approach is backfiring spectacularly. Fans aren't stupid. They can see what's happening when you don't protect your stars. You lose credibility. When you cater to jealousy, instead of rewarding excellence, you damage your product. Now, Caitlin did have a rookie foil figure opposite her, and Angel Reese, and man, Caitlin versus Angel in this year's opener set the all-time WNBA ratings record. But as cool and charismatic as Angel is as dominant as she is on social media. As opposed to Caitlin, the truth is that Angel can't begin to match Caitlin's basketball drawing power. When Angel's forte is just rebounding, why does the Chicago Sky seem to target Clark more aggressively than any other team? The answer becomes obvious when you watch their games side by side with other matchups. The Sky don't just play physical basketball against Indiana, they play personal basketball. There's a clear difference between competitive intensity and what looks like deliberate targeting, and the Sky consistently cross that line when Caitlin Clark steps on the court. Petty jealousy kicks in, takes over. Other teams are constantly complaining to the league office about all the publicity and all the credit that Caitlin Clark gets, even though she doesn't do much on social media, doesn't say much when she's interviewed, just says all the right things. Nothing but cliches and platitudes, nothing but respect for all of the older stars in the league. Kane's actually pretty boring unless she's playing basketball. Yet this league office is obviously deathly afraid of an open player revolt. The pattern started early in Clark's rookie season and only got worse as the Sky frustrations mounted every time these teams faced off. You could see Sky players going after Clark with a level of aggression they didn't show against other opponents. This wasn't normal defensive pressure or standard playoff intensity. Basketball players were consistently making contact that seemed designed more to send a message than to make a basketball play. I see are the bees that are being dramatic about Caitlin Clark. That's all I see. They try so long to get respect for women's basketball, and then they treat it like a junior high school girls' locker room, junior high school girl antics on the court. You can trace this behavior directly back to Angel Reese's attitude toward Clark when your team's alleged star openly shows animosity toward an opponent. It sets the tone for how everyone else approaches that matchup. Reese's teammates picked up on her energy and started treating Clark like she was some kind of threat that needed to be neutralized, rather than just another player to compete against. The Sky developed a culture where going after Clark became acceptable, even encouraged. Now, what little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. That's so dumb that it looks like a soap opera skip. Biss has been vocal about pointing out these obvious targeting attempts, and he's not wrong about what anyone watching can see. The Sky employ tactics against Clark that go beyond standard basketball competition. They're consistently more physical with her than with other star players, and they get away with it because officials refuse to make the calls that would protect her. Bayless has highlighted how this deliberate strategy aims to limit Clark's effectiveness and potentially intimidate her. Let's be real about what's driving this behavior. The Sky are frustrated with being completely overshadowed by Clark's popularity and success. Chicago thought they had their star in Angel Reese, but Clark came in and immediately became the face of women's basketball instead of raising their own game to compete. The Sky decided to try bringing Clark down to their level through excessive physicality and mind games. Caitlin Clark controls games with magical wow passes and jump shot logo threes. I'm talking about the female Steph logo threes. And yeah, fans and viewers can't get enough of Caitlin and Angel pushing and shoving each other, really going at it in what has already become the ultimate WNBA rivalry. So come on ladies, quit complaining about Caitlin Clark and just accept and embrace that she is the reason. All of you ultimately will make far more money. This strategy has completely backfired on the Sky organization. Instead of making fans respect their toughness or competitive,